Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to a brand new camp build. Today we are working with the brand new Makeshift Mega Mansion prefab that's just been added to the atomic shop. We're going to build a little farm up around this place. So, let's jump in, take a little look at this. Okay then, so as I say, this is a new prefab in the atomic shop. It's pretty big, pretty decent size. Plenty of room to do stuff with it. Really good addition. It's only 700 atoms, so definitely getting your atoms worth on this one, I think, given how much you can do with it. Well worth picking up if you get the chance. We're going to build this up into a farm down at the bottom of the Savage Survive. So let's have a look at the map. See, here we are, right down at the bottom. There's the camp. Just across the way from Dent & Sons Construction. There's a little road here connecting the construction site there and the disposal field just a little bit to the north. And that's the easiest way to find this location. It's a little farm just off to the left of it as you head south. There's a foundation just off to the north there. So, well out of the way. Nice little spot this. Good spot for a farm. Let's see, we've already got a farm in place. So let's start by dropping this prefab in. So, reasonably easy to drop this in. It's quite cooperative, this, which is good. Some of them can be a bit awkward. The size of it does mean it can be a bit of a frame rate hog when you're moving it around. It's quite big, quite detailed, as we see. It's a little awkward to adjust the height of. It doesn't really like to sink in or raise up very well, but it does look good. Definitely fits the wasteland scrappy vibe very well. Makes for a solid base to either build a larger camp out from, or to just use as a more portable, easy to drop camp if you're into that sort of thing. So, we're going to set this up next to the little windmill water pump here. Just offset it from this sort of path through the middle of the field. So we're nice and close to the edge of the build area, but not sort of leaning outside it, so it should be easy enough to decorate in a bit. However, I do want to add some extra structures around this, just to make sure it doesn't stick out too much, make it blend in a bit. So we're going to add another building over here. For all the space in that prefab, we have only got 3 internal spaces, so I wanted to build an extra shop anyway and make the place look a little bit more completed up. So we're going to add a sort of ramshackle structure off to the side here. Dead simple basis. We've got 2x2 foundation here with an extra one tucked off to the right there. I'm going to mix up the textures a little bit on the walls. I'll swap that one out for the door so I can get inside. So I'm just going to drop some walls in here. This is going to start off as basically a box, and then I'll tweak it and make it look a little bit more interesting. So we'll get some mixed walls in there. So a barn one. I'll move that over a little bit. We'll get another, what are these ones? Warehouse, that's the word. Another warehouse wall over there. And we'll plug the rest of these with just the wooden ones. Oh, we've got the rad stags making an appearance. There's one thing you should note about this place. It constantly gets albino rad stags spawning in it, so they can be a bit of an issue. Just one reason we'll be putting a wall around this place in a bit. So, staircase on the side here, going up to the top. I wanted to have something on the top of this, to make it a bit more interesting to look at. Yep, he's spotted me, and he's going to come and cause some trouble now, this guy. Angry sod. So I'll deal with him, and we'll get back to the building. Couldn't get him off this roof, unfortunately, but he fell off when I shot him, so that's the main thing. There we go. Got the upper floor in. Now we'll spice this up a little bit, because right now we just have a cube. So we're going to get a couple of half walls here, just on the corner. We're going to have a kind of open lean-to on the top here. So drop a corner piece roof on there. Nice. And that'll sort of mix up the shape a little bit, make it look a little more interesting to the eye. But we need a post to support that central corner of the roof here. So we're going to go with the oldie but a goodie. Drop a floor piece on there so it sticks out to the side. Come on. There we go. And then we'll use staircase. When it wants to snap, there we go. And just put a floor around so that we can snap a metal post in just a moment. So we'll offset these. So the middle of this second one is in line with the corner of the roof. Snap to that. And we'll pull them out. There we go. Nice and supported. Oldie but a goodie, that one. Now repeat that procedure down below so this area at the top of the stairs, the little landing, is also supported. We'll get the floor snapped round the side. We've already got the stairs effectively. We are going to need foundations underneath, as these posts will no longer float, so they do need something to support them at the bottom in order to snap them in. Drag that over a little bit, line it up, there we go. And now we can take all these bits out. roofs off, get the foundations out as well, and snap some of the short ones underneath. So that's about as tall as you can make those posts, but it does work for this particular job. And we'll get some stairs on the front here, get an idea of what we're working with. We'll change this in a minute, because it still needs to be made considerably more interesting. It's still a bit boxy. Heading up to the top, I'm going to stick some railings around the outside, just to finish off this upper area. There we go. And we're starting to get an interesting looking little ramshackle structure off to the side here. But we can definitely do a bit more to make it a bit more interesting to look at. Coming together. So I'm going to swap this one out for a window first. Again, just mix up those textures, otherwise it's just blank walls on that side. And first thing I tried was using some reverse junk fences just to add a little extra dimension to the otherwise sheer faces of the building. Come on, there we go. It is a little awkward placing these sometimes with the ploughed ground. It makes things look a little like they're floating sometimes, but with a little bit of ingenuity we'll conceal that reasonably well. Come on, get that one in there, mix up the textures again. And there we go. Need to re-angle that a little bit. So it does kind of break up the surface a little bit, make it a bit more interesting to look at. But I think we can still go a little bit further with making this interesting. Plus that front one's covering up the window, which is not ideal. So quickly nip around the side, put some fences around the stairs. Make that look a little bit more finished. And we'll head on inside and make something a little more interesting out of this. So I'm just going to pull this warehouse wall out. Actually, I'm going to keep the warehouse wall and swap it for that one. And then we're going to stick a junk wall in here instead, just to make it a little bit odd, a little bit more interesting to look at. Obviously, it makes placing furniture inside a little bit more problematic, but it's not too much of an issue, as we will see in the tour in a bit. So that's slightly more interesting down there. Let's mix things up a bit on the top here, because I'm not quite happy with having this lean-to at the front of the building. Still puts a big sheer surface on the front, so if we tuck it to the back, which is facing outside of the camp, or will be when we're done, it will look significantly better. So we need to make sure that roof is supported. Don't need to move the post because we're still having that corner in the centre. If you have a look now, changes the profile up a little bit, makes it a bit more interesting to look at again. Still need a bit more work on it though. So we're going to pop up the top and just change this back edge to make it look a little bit more interesting, rather than just using the railings that we won't be able to see from the front. So I'm going to shove a junk wall on the back edge here, just line that up with the edge of the floor there. Again, you'll be able to sort of see the top of it poking over the front there from the ground, so it'll make it look a little bit more interesting. Just change up the shape and the profile a bit. Get that lined up. It's nice. So I've faffed around a fair bit in this corner here to come up with something a bit more interesting, but quite happy with this idea that I sort of stumbled on. Drop this fence in. It's not snapping there, because it doesn't to upper floors anymore for some odd reason. We can still, however, snap these railings through, so we've got a slightly more interesting looking texture there. So I'll pull these off for the moment, nudge that into position so it lines up properly, looks a bit neater. There we go. And now we can just snap them back in if I don't fall off the roof. Go flashback to the old Fallout 4 days when I used to fall off every 5 minutes. And there we go, that's snapped through that fence on the right just to give it a bit more of an interesting texture. Can't really see it from down here yet, but when we approach it from the stairs it'll look a bit more interesting. So again, want to break up this front edge a bit more now. So just going to put a slightly lowered front section on here. It doesn't run all the way across again. Just putting corners on there, some more interesting angles, that sort of thing. Just change it up a little bit. We'll close that window off, seeing as we're going to build in front of it. And I want to dip these foundations down a little bit lower. I had hoped to drop them even further than I could, but that's as low as they'll go. But it does make the thing look a little better, so we'll stick with it. Flip that across. Now we can build up this front corner a little bit. And we'll sort of repeat the principle we did on top, but on this front edge. So half wall and a roof, kind of lean to what will become a seating area out front. This whole structure is going to be our shop eventually. And I want this front edge open again, just to break up that front texture. Not too happy, however, with this fence on the front. Snaps in okay, but it just doesn't look that great. It's not to my eye, so I'm going to put a straight up angled one rather than a corner one, because I don't really need that back corner of the roof. That looks a little better. We'll get a post in there to support this front corner of the roof as well. So foundation, stair, and upper floors. Bring that up level. Half floor across the gap. Find a post. There it is. Snap that in, and there we go. So I'm going to stick a half railing on there because it leaves it a bit more open. Kind of blends in a little bit more. And the contrast with the warehouse behind it looks pretty good. And then we'll grab a encampment fence and just nudge it up in front of it just to texture that up a little bit more. Technically speaking, you could do without the railing if you're going to put the encampment fence in front of it, but I like the way the two look together. A little less raidery and just a little bit more textured. So there we go. We have a reasonably solid structure. So the next thing we need to do is get some walls around this place and keep those albino radstags out. Unfortunately, this tractor here doesn't bulldoze and is right where I would like the gate to be, so it's a bit unfortunate that, but we'll have to work around it. I could have pushed the walls further out, but given that I ended up using the entire budget on this, making the inside area any bigger would have basically made it look more Spartan inside when I came to decorate, so not such a bad thing. Oh, we've got a wall and a gate in there, so I've sort of worked out where that's going. Roughly figuring out where I want the line of the fence to go on the side, the junk wall we're going to build. Incidentally, I'm only going to show you this sort of side of the wall. We'll repeat the procedure to make a kind of big circle that extends out from the two buildings, but it's a lot of repetition, so as long as you've got the general idea, you can push on with that if you want to do something similar. There we go, that's the basic gateway. Guard post in there, just to cover it, give us somewhere to stand and shoot. And I will stick a turret on the top of it eventually as well. So I'll make sure that's as high up as I can get it without this edge looking like it's floating. It's good enough. And we'll head over towards the makeshift mansion again and expand this wall around. So don't want it too straight. Going to try and get a bit of a curved circular vibe to it. We're going to come out from this post. If I go any further out, again, it'll make it bigger, but it'll just be too big for the amount of budget I've got left. So also, the further out I came, the ground was a little hard to get things to place without looking like they were floating as well. Weirdly, it was a bit more cooperative here, so two birds, one stone kind of vibe. As usual, we're going to mix up the pieces we're using. So we've got a junk wall there, a couple of hay bales, and we're going to go on to some concrete tyres, cement-filled tyres. Well worth picking up if you haven't got these. Very, very handy for building junk walls with. Line that up. A little bit floaty because of the lay of the ground, but it is basically supported, so I can live with it. I'm going to move over towards the guard post here and drop this trailer in. Again, it blocks up the wall quite nicely and looks a bit more interesting than just using the same old pieces over and over. As always, mixing things up is the way to go. Going to adjust the line here a little bit. Sort of working from two different ends and coming together to meet in the middle tends to make it a bit easier to make things marry up properly. You can sort of adjust the line so that things sort of fit. Whereas if you just build straight along, you can suddenly find when you get to the other end of the wall that things don't quite match up, which is always frustrating because you have to change quite a lot that way. This works out quite well. And the firecracker berries. Unfortunately, those didn't want to bulldoze, which is a bit of a pity. A few little fine adjustments, we will have this side of the wall more or less complete. Good thing these work quite well, these two large pieces. You can just tweak them a little bit, make them match up quite nicely, which is cool. Just shove this a little further back, and then all we'll have to do is dress it up a little bit in the decoration phase. So I will continue that principle over on this side and extend it around to close this place off, and then we'll head up and decorate. But rather than repeating myself, let's tour. Here we go, finished project. Quite happy with this one. Looks nice and farm-like and rustic. Nice little location for it down here at the bottom of the Savage Divide as well. You can see I've added a couple of little bits to the wall on the right. Not too much, but it just gives it a little bit more flavour. Continue the same principle around this side. Just mixing things up using fences, barricades, signs, but loads of stash boxes stuffed in there as well. The encampment fences are really good for using on sloped ground. They'll sit in and they don't look like they're floating, which some other pieces will, so those are good for that. Another guard post on the corner here. So I've got the frame at the back there with a fence in front of it, fence shelf rather in front of it, just to enclose that. Those one-sided shelves are quite good for making junk walls with. So you mix up a lot of different bits and pieces just to close this off. All in all, looking nice and ramshackle and ready to keep the denizens of the wasteland out. Got to use that gas station sign at some point. That's definitely one of my favourite wall building items. Big, easy to place, and flat. It makes a great wall piece, that. Obviously, with the tractor just in front of it, looks reasonably good. So we'll head on inside. I haven't got any power over this side, unfortunately, so that sign's not illuminated, but I might see if I can do something about that, but with the budget being full, it might be a bit difficult. So here we go. Lots and lots of crops crammed in here. Everything I need to make vegetable starch, if I need to make adhesive, everything I need for cranberry relish, apart from the cranberries, which I can't plant. And anything I need for corn soup or making vodka, because that's kind of my new thing in this game at the moment. So everything I need there, razor grade on that side. A couple of scarecrows as well. And we've got our new Coca-Cola projector on, just sitting on his own little foundation there, which we've dressed up a bit to make it look a bit more interesting. Head up onto this guard post and survey the area. Yeah. Pretty happy with how this has come out. Nice and busy, well lived in looking farm vibe to it, so quite pleased with that. Struggled a bit with somewhere to put the power armor station, so with an oldie but a goodie. Just chucked a foundation in there and dressed it up a little bit. Let's have a look at our little store here. Nice little seating area out front under the roof, place to chill out of an evening. We'll head on inside. My fusion core generator is hiding behind those two junk fences. I just sort of wrapped it up in to conceal it a bit. There's our store. The wires are running sort of out of sight round the back there. Got a mannequin there dressed up in a Caravanier's outfit. The Blue Ridge signs seem to make sense. A couple of bits of furniture, stash box, somewhere to sit if you have to wait. Nice. And I decided to use the jail door there just for a bit of variety. Adds to the scrappy look quite nicely as well. And a few of the different fertilizer producing things and the Fashion Act cart there, I suppose, just to give it that farm vibe again. We'll take a little look upstairs before we move around towards the makeshift mansion. I didn't really know what to do up here. A bit of a struggle, so I elected to put the Raider Punk here, who chose this one time for his animation to screw up. So the only time it happened was when I was recording. Thanks, buddy. We took a little bed in here and a couple of other bits and pieces that go with his radio setup. Got a Nixie tube light and a radio just on a table there to make it look a little bit more technological and interesting. Tuck my camp unit up here as well out the way. A couple of seats for him. So this ended up being an empty space that I wasn't sure what to do with because everything else was more or less complete. So I was going to put the power armor station up there, but I don't like it the way it is. Squeezed my vault utility room entrance in there. Before we take a look around the Mega Mansion, let's just tuck around this back corner. Just squeeze a couple of bits in here. The decon arch. This little corner of the wall was really difficult to work with because of the existing water tower, water pump thing here. So tuck the toilet in here. Just used what I could to block up the gaps because the rad stags like to spawn on this side. So hence the little turret emplacement. This water tower here is actually really, really handy because it stays stocked inside that tyre there with dirty water. So there's no other water sources around. So having that there is absolutely brilliant. It means I don't have to run miles away to get dirty water to boil up whenever I need to cook. So good little spot for that. Tucking the toilet out the way there is a nice bit as well. I like the way that's come out. So, here's the bit that we all want to see, the makeshift Mega Mansion. Those doors are the only ones that come with it and are ostensibly the only ones that will snap on. Once you've snapped them in place, you can swap them out for other ones, but thought I'd mix it up a bit further up, but basically stuck with those as well because they open further than other doors do, so they're a good little addition. They've got to lean back and a bit more out of the way. A little crafting room on the ground floor and our punch card machine, so we get quick access to the crafting benches if we need them. Bit of decoration. That comes wandering about there. I had to lock the front gate actually because it keeps leaving it open. A bit annoying, but what can we do? Head on up to the middle level. So I like this area. I like the whole prefab actually, but one thing that was a bit difficult is this area on the left here. Nice view over the rest of the camp from up here. Got my brewing stations tucked in under this bit of roof here. which is the one thing that is kind of frustrating about decorating this place. That roof is a bit awkward to place things under sometimes. Chairs are a bit awkward, and taller objects don't really like to go under there. It says they're not supported for some weird reason, but I think it's more to do with the roof than anything else. I was running out of budget a bit by the time I got to this landing, so a little limited on the decoration here. There we go. Mixed up the door there and used the red rocket one for a bit of variety. We'll look around our dining room. Cooking station down here. A little sink there. Give it a more completed look. A few bits on the walls. Yeah, another space you can hang out. Do the cooking if we need to. We'll swing up to the top. So if the budget had been a quarter larger or something like that, I could have dressed this up a tiny little bit more, but a few little bits and pieces here and there do just kind of give it a bit more of a finished look. The fire breather's flag, because you kind of have to. Nice view from up here. You see the pre-ploughed bit of farm here is quite handy for this type of build. So swing around and have a look inside. So this is basically the home, bedroom, living room of the player character. So use the little screen there to section it off. And we've got a little bedroom in the back. I'm loving those Blue Ridge Caravan flags. I spent so long riding shotgun, but I want to make the most out of the rewards I got for it. But there we go. Nice little spot to hang out. There's a pet peeve of mine. Turn off the HUD, but still the public team thing pops up anyway. Come on. Fix up with those stuff, please. Please, please, please. So yeah, all in all, really happy with how this little farm came out. I've been a bit iffy about whether or not to do a farm. It was making it look interesting as been something of a struggle for me over the last however long, so quite happy with how this one's come together. It looks pretty wasteland farm. Yeah, pleased with that. So, do hope you folks enjoyed that one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes for me. I do very, very much appreciate it. Do share the video around if you think you know anybody who would enjoy it as well. Oh, I hope you like the symptomatic and the flag over on this side as well. Keep an eye on in the corner there. As usual, social media links down below the video as well, along with the merch store and channel memberships. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, it is hugely appreciated and really, really helps out. And if you get a chance to join us for the live streams as well, we will of course be playing tons more Fallout 76, and we're playing Mass Effect 2 in the Legendary Edition now as well, and having a great time with that. So I do hope you join us for those streams. Fantastic series of games. But for now, I'll say a massive thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.